We all want our children to accomplish something great, even if they don't know it yet. We want them to be the best at whatever they're doing, even if they're just getting started. Whether their journey takes them from the classroom to the launch pad or from the land to the sea.
Attacking!
They'll be challenged, surprised, and encouraged to grow. And every new accomplishment brings them one step closer to learning who they are and who they can be. Because in order to become the next scientist, or astronaut, or actor, or dancer, or explorer, or whatever they want to be, they have to keep learning. This is Afterschool.
All right, thank you for watching that video. While we're getting the slides up, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Allie Leidy. I'm privileged to be the Chief Operating and Strategy Officer with the New York State Network for Youth Success. I want to welcome and thank you for joining our after-school briefing. Today's presentation will provide an overview of the current state of after-school, summer, and expanded learning programs in New York, and offer a statewide perspective on the needs and priorities of after-school for this 2023 budget season. We are going to take questions at the end of the presentation, so please jot down any you might have. You can enter them into the chat as well. Go to the next slide, and we're going to start by sharing a little bit about our network and provide an overview of the value of after school, and then share a snapshot of data and facts highlighting how school-age children are faring in New York, especially in light of the pandemic. Then we will outline our budget priorities and how you can help us achieve them this budget year. The next slide. The New York State Network for Youth Success is dedicated to building a youth-serving system that increases the quality and availability of after-school and expanded learning programs and supports all programs that promote young people's intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development outside the traditional school day. These programs include those that serve youth in kindergarten through 12th grade, take place in schools and or community-based settings, and occur before and after school during weekends, holidays, and summer breaks, or during the school day through partnerships with community organizations. The network is a statewide after-school network for New York, working with 49 other state after-school networks and the National After-School Alliance. We are committed to strengthening the capacity and commitment of communities, programs, and professionals to increase access to high-quality programs and services beyond the traditional classroom. We are also the state affiliate for the National After-School Association, the New York State lead for the National Girls Collaborative Project, and the backbone agency for the New York State Community Schools Network. We work to increase access to high-quality programs. To us, this means increasing funding for after-school and expanded learning opportunities at both the state and federal levels. The network convenes partners to coordinate them around a common agenda focused on partnership development, policy development, and capacity building, and connects practice with policy across a broad range of state, regional, and local partners that represent after-school, expanded learning, community schools, and youth development fields broadly. We bring together work groups to provide recommendations to state agencies that are aimed at ensuring funding streams, evaluation, and technical assistance work for the field. Increased access to high-quality programs also means making sure that school-age childcare regulations work for providers and help promote safe, high-quality programs. We provide feedback on these regulations by engaging the expertise and experience of after-school partners that work in the after-school field. We also manage afterschoolpathfinder.org, which is a free statewide job posting site designed exclusively for the after-school field. So I recommend taking a look at that. When we talk about increasing access, we need to ensure that the programs we are increasing access to are high quality. Research shows that quality programs produce positive outcomes for youth. To support high quality programs, we serve as the credentialing agency for the school age care credential in person and also through our distance learning course online. And we lead program accreditation to help evaluate and elevate the quality of programs that go through the process. We also offer a full professional development catalog based on the needs raised by the field, including our Site Leader Institute, which prepares new after-school program grantees and new site directors to operate high-quality programs, and our ongoing justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion trainings, which are offered free of charge. We also developed the Quality Self-Assessment, or QSA tool, which is a free, accessible tool for programs to self-assess across 11 elements of quality and gain best practices to help programs create and improve their quality. The QSA tool is available in 10 languages, and it's recommended for use for all state and federally funded programs in New York, but it's available for free for everyone. We are proud to be leading the efforts to build an effective and integrated statewide system of high quality after school, summer, and other expanded learning opportunities in the course of our 25-year history. We would also like to get to know you. So please introduce yourself in the chat and tell us where you're joining from today. And as you continue to share in the chat, we will shift gears to talk about how school-age children are faring now, especially amid the pandemic. To do that, I am happy to introduce our policy director, Trudy Morgan.
Thank you, Ali, and so great to see everyone on the call today. We do know that COVID-19 has presented obstacles to students' learning, health, and overall well-being. And amid the pandemic, students face a steady amount of learning loss, widening existing academic and achievement gaps, especially for disadvantaged students. And many young people, especially those in underserved and impoverished communities, also experience significant poverty and trauma resulting from loss and or grief. The current data on several well-being indicators reinforce the need for continued evidence-based interventions to help meet the needs of the whole child. A few of these statistics, and these are by no means exhaustive, are going to be highlighted in the next slides. And the data sources are linked in the PDF presentation that we will share with you all after this presentation. The Kids Count Data Center by Annie E. Casey Foundation showed that about 19% of New York's children were living in poverty in 2021. More than 2/3 of this, 747,000, were school-age children between ages 6 and 17. 15%, or 543,000 children under 18 lived in households that were food insecure between 2019 and 2021. And about 21.6% of children under 18 had at least one household member who experienced a loss of employment income at some point between April 2021 and April 2022. Furthermore, the U.S. Census Bureau reported that about 1.6 million mothers of school-age children nationally were not actively working in January of 2021 as compared to the previous year in January 2022. And this number was much higher at the onset of the pandemic in April, where as many as 12.9 million, or 45% of mothers living with their own school-age children, were not actively working. Now, while caution must be taken when using written tests for academic performance, results from the National Assessment of Educational Progress's mathematics and reading assessments help us explore the extent of learning loss or unfinished learning, a phenomenon that was expected to exacerbate amid the pandemic. Their report card for New York showed declines in reading and math scores for fourth grades by 10 and 6 points, respectively, and in math scores for eighth graders by 7 points. Furthermore, researchers found that students experience COVID loss. On average, students who attended in-person school for nearly all of 2020-2021 school year lost about 20% of a typical school year's math learning. The number was higher for students in remote learning, who lost the equivalent of about 50%. Even more alarming is the finding that school closures might have widened both economic and racial inequality in learning, reversing progress that had been made thus far in narrowing academic gaps. Also in 2020, children's mental health related emergency visits as a proportion of all pediatric emergency visits across the US increased by 24% for children ages 5 to 11 and 31% for youth ages 12 to 17 as compared to 2019. Anecdotal evidence from Pew's state line interviews and media accounts also indicated that violence and other behavioral challenges like truancy, bullying, anxiety, depression, and suicide risk were up among students in the fall of 2021. Furthermore, a CDC analysis highlighting the threat of COVID on youth mental health in 2021 showed that more than a third, that's 37%, of high school students reported they experienced poor mental health during the pandemic, and 44% reported they persistently felt sad or hopeless during the past year. The impact of COVID on the mental health of young people is so profound that the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the Children's Hospital Association declared this mental health decline as a national emergency. Recognizing these setbacks, we know that it is critical for students to re-emerge resilient, strong, and hopeful from this period. And we know that after school can play an incredible role in this vision. So we'd like to hear from you again. Please share with us in the chat box how your after-school programs are helping children and youth recover. Are you running new enrichment programs? Are you creating new curricula? Are you engaging the community in new ways? Please share with us in the chat. And while you put that in the chat, we would like to play a short video highlighting how after-school programs help address youth mental health.
For high schoolers in Chicago, a different kind of class. This after-school program centering on the mental health of teens.
What a lot of people do is they cover it up.
Latrell Scott, who's 17, says adults sometimes don't get it.
In my experience as a teenager, they have quite literally shunned me, like shunned my emotional state sometimes. And it's taken a lot of work to actually learn how to speak and be honest and open with myself.
Nearly half of high schoolers have reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless in the past year. Startling statistics that only begin to illuminate how deep the teen mental health crisis is in this country. It's why programs like this one exist, a partnership between Adler University and After School Matters, intended to help students connect with therapists and get access to behavioral health services.
The teens now are so much braver. I think they are demonstrating more openness to talk about their mental health.
The nation's top doctor visiting to see for himself earlier this month.
Mental health is the defining public health challenge of our time.
Should there be more investment in programs like these then? Is that the answer?
Well, it's part of the answer. And yes, there should be more investment there, because when kids do better, it doesn't just benefit their mental health. It doesn't just reduce chances of anxiety and depression, but it also improves how they perform in school. It improves how they show up for their family and their friends.
For Dr. Vivek Murthy, like for so
Thank you all for sharing in the chat, and please keep them coming. From providing programs focused on SEL with certified counselors, from offering math and reading tutorings, providing circles and programs, expanded opportunities for STEM. We know that after-school programs have risen to the moment to help recovery. The pandemic also has disrupted access to these crucial after-school programs, as many of you on the call know. And just before the pandemic, the America After 3 p.m. report showed that more than 340,000 children were alone and unsupervised between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. And that for every child participating in after school in New York, 4, that's more than 1.6 million children are waiting for an available program. And by mid-year in 2020, 70% of New York's school-age childcare centers had closed because of the pandemic. This was the highest of all modalities. And even though this number improved in the following year, 1 in 5 households with school-age children under 12 reported disruption of childcare arrangements because of the coronavirus pandemic between August 2021 and 2022. And despite the important state and federal investments in after-school programs, more than a third of New York counties have 5 or less state and or federally funded after-school programs in their region. More students are missing out on after-school as demand surges. But we know after-school works, as I'm going to turn it over to Allie to share why.
Thank you, Trudy. After-school summer and expanded learning programs have an incredible impact on the lives of students, families, and communities. We know that after-school works. As trusted partners, these programs have long provided a safe and healthy space for children to be cared for and provide high-quality supplemental education that keeps them engaged while helping caregivers balance work and family. After-school programs also lead to academic success by fostering healthy social networks for participants and social emotional learning that promotes higher academic and career aspirations for youth. These programs are proven to help students make gains in reading and math, improve their test scores, and graduate. After going to after-school programs, about 1 in 2 students improve their math and reading grades, and about 7 out of 10 students improve their homework completion and class participation. After-school programs provide protective factors against risky behaviors, such as substance abuse and misuse, through the development of protective or resiliency factors such as school connectedness, self-management, self-awareness, and quality peer relationships. The CDC analysis that was referred to earlier shows that school connectedness provided critical protection for students during COVID-19. Further research shows that student engagement indicators such as attendance, behavior, and coursework rise when students participate regularly in quality after-school programs. After school provides a safe and healthy space where students can keep engaged, learn, and thrive. Throughout COVID-19, after-school programs adapted to high-quality programs, both in person and virtually, to keep children engaged in learning. They expanded childcare services to help working families and availed their expertise and experience to work further with schools and districts in addressing learning loss. Many of these programs were delivering food and other essential supplies to families in need, and served as important avenues to disseminate critical information and connect families with an array of community resources to help them receive needed relief and recovery. The latest 2020 America After 3 p.m. report for New York reiterates the importance of after-school programs in our community. 94% of New York caregivers are satisfied with their child's overall after-school program experience. 76% agree that these programs keep kids safe and out of trouble. And 82% agree that after-school programs provide opportunities for kids to learn important life skills. An overwhelming percentage, about 88% of New York caregivers, are in favor of public funding for after-school programs. For many families, after-school programming goes beyond after school. Today, over 122,000 students benefit from state and federally funded after-school programs in New York, totaling approximately $222.9 million in public investments. A little over 57,000 of those students currently benefit from the 21st Century Community Learning Centers program, which is the only direct federal funding source for after-school programs. Nonetheless, there is still a need to further support to increase after-school access and availability. Now, Trudy will take us through how we can do that this year.
Thanks again, Allie. We do know that after-school access, or the lack thereof, has real implications on working families and gender inequalities in the workforce, and hence on our state's economy. And profound challenges remain for the field, with after-school staff shortages being most paramount at this time. Many after-school professionals who we know are part of the resilient childcare workforce are often underpaid due to low per-student reimbursement rates. Increasingly competitive wages and benefits in other industries have made it difficult for the programs to hire and retain staff for their programs. In addition to the staffing challenges, after-school programs bore the brunt of COVID-19 effects. Many after-school grantees experience delayed or unexecuted contracts, amendments, limiting opportunities to adapt, low student participation, and received no direct COVID-19 education stimulus funding, all while trying to meet COVID protocols and ratios with a low student rate. The need for capacity building and technical assistance for the after-school field, especially as exacerbated by COVID-19, cannot be underscored enough. Yet New York does not have funds dedicated to a statewide technical assistance for after-school programs. These circumstances put many programs in untenable positions, leading some programs with deep connections in their community to suspend after-school programming or close their doors entirely. If there's one thing COVID has reinforced in the last few years, it is that the after-school system in New York is too vulnerable, as is, to meet the demand of families and sufficiently support providers who give their all to meet students' needs. New York might have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with how timelines are currently aligned to transform after school to maximize its impact. Our full budget ask for this year can be found in the link that we are going to be sharing with you shortly, and also in the next few slides, I'm going to be talking about our priorities. So New York must mitigate barriers to sustaining and expanding their after-school workforce. In New York, childcare workers, who are predominantly women and women of color, are one of the lowest paid occupations statewide and nationwide, with an annual mean salary of $33,060 or $15.89 per hour. And this is highly unsettling, as after-school professionals are one of the often on average well educated, with more than one of two after-school professionals holding a 4-year degree or higher. However, many see their job as supplemental or temporary and leave the field due to low pay. Yearly turnover rate can be as high as 40% for these programs. And so sustained efforts towards competitive compensation and benefits for the childcare workforce, including after-school professionals, is long due critical to reinforce the incredible role these programs play. The state also has to increase the per student rate on state after-school programs to align with the true cost of high quality after-school programming. The highest per student rate yet for a state or federally funded after-school funding stream in New York, which is currently at $2,100, still falls short of what the rate should be if it accounted for minimum wage adjustments while holding everything constant. And it does not reflect the true cost of delivering high quality after-school programs. So any effort towards alignment by the state will have to ensure the base true cost of $4,300 per student. We also want to see dedicated funding towards statewide technical assistance by supporting the role of the Network for Youth Success, a statewide after-school network. While after-school professionals bring expertise and experience in providing critical wraparound supports to students and families, they need access to ongoing professional development, trainings, and resources, including on mental health, trauma-informed care, socio-emotional development, to continue to effectively meet the needs of families and children. With a dedicated line item, the network can expand the work it does tremendously. Last but definitely not the least, New York must expand access to after school. The demand for after school, summer, and expanded learning programs remain high in New York, as has already been reiterated, and increased amid the pandemic. Strategic investments to expand after school programming, especially in underserved communities, is critical. And this is why we are asking the governor and state legislators to invest $219 million in a new and improved after-school initiative that restructures current state after-school programs in the vision towards a sustainable after-school system. In the last few years, both Advantage and Empire State after-school programs have been aligned in contract amendments and requirements, and this presents an opportunity to build on the success of these programs while adopting the key principles we know can transform the after-school system. We want to see an increase in the per student rate to at least $4,300, as I mentioned before, which is the base true cost per student rate based on our calculations, average base true cost. We also want this program to elevate technical assistance, professional development opportunities, and evaluation to sustain quality supports. And then perhaps more importantly, we want this new initiative to streamline regulations, compliances, and the RFP and contracting processes to make it easier for after-school programs to access these funds. We are also asking for dedicated line item funding to help the network increase the capacity building and technical assistance it provides for after-school programs. As mentioned early on, currently no state funds are dedicated towards TA or after-school funding streams. This funding will strengthen the network's efforts to improve quality tools and data gathering for school-age childcare, also support regulation compliance and coordinate convenience. We'd also like the state to increase funding for the Educational Incentive Program. EIP provides scholarships to assist childcare providers participating in professional development activities. These funds have been depleted by September in the last few years, revealing the incredible demand for professional development support. Also, we want to achieve better coordination and collaboration within the after-school system. And so we are asking the state to establish a single agency or division dedicated to after-school summer and expanded learning programs, and a streamlined after-school fund to help align the funding, process, systems, and benchmarks needed to successfully implement a more robust after-school program in the state. We know that many after-school programs have to jump through several hoops in several RFPs and contracting systems, and we want to be able to streamline that. We are also asking the states to establish an after-school task force to facilitate efforts towards a strong, aligned, and coordinated after-school system. Our vision is to see every child that needs access to after school is able to do so. And in order to realize this agenda, it will be critical to engage the experience, expertise, and feedback of diverse after-school stakeholders, which all of you are on this call today. And then finally, we want to see even more robust coordination between schools and after-school programs, knowing that school community partnerships are a key strategy for connecting critical support with youth and with your schools. And we need you to amplify these priorities through advocacy. Sadly, the State of the State address by the governor a few days ago, and then the accompanying brief, did not have a single mention of after school. Thankfully, there are several ways to get involved. You can join us in about 2 weeks on January 25th in Albany to chat with representatives about the importance of after school. We need to rally our state legislators to ensure that this state budget does not make after school an afterthought yet again. We need to rally our state legislators to ensure that. If you are not able to attend in person, you can still participate by sharing a short video about what after school means to you. Tweet at your state legislator or write to them, call them. You can also join supporters across the state to email your legislators and urge them to prioritize after school this year. And of course, if you're not receiving any updates from the network, you can sign up for our Power 3 listserv and add us on Twitter and Facebook to receive ongoing policy updates. And our website also has a ton of resources for you to learn about the after school field. And so you can visit our website, www.networkforyousuccess.org. Together, we can ensure that after school is not an afterthought in this year's budget. And this concludes our presentation. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and see if you have any questions that we can answer for you. Thank you. And you can feel free to put your questions in the chat or come unmute yourself, and we will be happy to answer them. looking in the chat. Okay. Yes, Timothy. So for those of you who signed up to participate in Advocacy Day, and we put the link in the chat for those who would also like to register. We have an Eventbrite, and the deadline is actually today. We will be sending out communication by Tuesday with further information on what is going to happen on on Advocacy Day. And then also we do have an Advocacy Day prep meeting that we will be having on the 19th. And so that information should have gone out to all those of you who have signed up to participate. However, we make sure to send that out again. And then Kara, to your question, I hope I'm saying your name right, what is involved in Advocacy Day? So often I just go through a quick rundown of what happens during Advocacy Day. We do have people from all over the state come down to the state capitol. It's often the full day between 9 to 4-ish p.m. And we group people according to which legislators that represent them, and also to the best of our ability by regions, to make sure that you all are meeting with your regional delegates, and you get the opportunity to go to legislators in their offices, or as we have been doing in the past, virtually, to meet with them, to share about what's happening within your own after-school programs. And then there's someone as part of the group who's able to share the direct budget ask. So really, for many of you, this is just an opportunity for you to share, to tell stories of how your programs are helping meet the needs of students and families in your community, so that legislators are aware of the impact of these programs. And then we also will hold a rally this time during our Advocacy Day. And this rally is really to bring everyone together to amplify the message of after school being an important and essential resource for communities. And oftentimes during the rally, we have a few individuals speak, oftentimes repeating some of the things we've talked about when we with legislators, and we have legislators also join us to come share their support for after school. So really, Advocacy Day is a day of amplifying the world of after school, networking, but also being able to share your story about how your programs are making an impact. I see Wanda has a question. Do you have to provide your own transportation for Advocacy Day? Currently, we are not able to provide transportation support. However, we encourage individuals to work with partners, especially if there are other after-school organizations that you work hand in hand with, or even schools, or whatever kind of partners that you have that could help support in this endeavor. But we hope for sure in the future, given opportunity, that we'll be able to help support this, but not currently at the moment. And Timothy, yes, made a good point in the chat that at least once you're here in Albany, it's very accessible by public transportation, but I know people will be coming from afar as well. Thank you. Any other questions for us? All right, going once, going twice. It seems there are no further questions for us. Thank you so much for joining us. This concludes our presentation. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Gabby, Trudy at networkforyousuccess.org, Gabby at networkforyousuccess.org. We're here as partners to support you in every way, and we hope that we can see you all in Albany, and if not, involved in our advocacy efforts. Thank you so much for joining us.